Well, hello, my name's Andy Tidy and welcome back to another episode of Canal Hunter Series 8. In this series, we are trying to track down the exact route of James Brindley's original canal which linked the cities of Birmingham and Wolverhampton. So far, we have travelled north and we've reached Oldbury. Well, normally you would find me introducing one episode from exactly where I left off with the last one, in which case you would expect to find me standing on the 1820 straightening to the north end of Oldbury Loop. But it wasn't the end of the straightening. It also sliced off a whole series of what I call the follow-on wiggles. 2 loops on the western bank and 1 on the east. And these were later enlarged to form basins for the surrounding industry. The one to the east serves Braids Colliery. A cursory look at the old maps show many curving arms annotated with the words Old Canal, and these days there's very little left of these loops, with the loops and the land all being redeveloped several times over the intervening decades. All we really have left are the old maps, because the area starts to fall outside the scope of the Britain from Above series. But what I can do is to fly my drone from Waterways Drive, and I can hopefully be able to connect the section through from Danks's works all the way down to Braids. Well, that was a bit of a hairy flight, if I don't mind telling you myself. Wind warnings were everywhere, and then I lost my signal over the top of Braids. Luckily, the drone is pretty clever, it's got GPS, and it's scurried homewards. So all is all right, and we live to fly another day. Well, I mentioned Braids Locks, and that really is the next landmark on Brindley's old canal. Not that, of course, they were there in Brindley's day. These ones were built in 1835, 15 years after the Oldbury shortening, and it links the canal down from Brindley's level onto Telford's new main line. All along this section there were coal measures, and they were emerging from the side of Netherton Hill. And these were all reached by a series of short tramways terminating in a multitude of canal-side wharves. So as we travel down the canal behind me, which heads towards Tipton, you'll find that towards that side the land falls away and there was nowhere for the canal to be redirected. If you go on that side, you'll find it's all collieries where the coal comes to the surface. So there's loads and loads of indentations, but precious little remains of the basins themselves. Then next up along this track there is the Netherton Tunnel branch, which the old Brindley line crosses at Tividale. This was built in conjunction with the construction of the 1856 Netherton Tunnel, and like the Stewart Aqueduct, which we looked at in the last episode, this is an area where the canal line has been slightly shifted. It appears that the original line ran slightly to the west, and they simply divided the canal in half, and they used the eastern side to build the aqueduct, and then the western side was removed. I don't have any particular proof on that. The alignment of the canal looks that way though. Well, because Brindley built his original channel on quite a steep slope, there wasn't an awful lot of scope to go tinkering around with its course between Braids and Tipton. What you see is pretty much what Brindley and his team of engineers built back in 1770. Well, because my archive picture collection tends to concentrate on the lost canals, I don't have masses on this section, so I'll just give you some snippets from the towpath on the air as we go along, and I'll throw in some images for good measure where I have them. Now, there are not many of the old side basins which still remain, but here as we come into Tipton, there is one. The basin itself is new, but the right-hand edge used to be an inlet which went into the local foundries and coal works. Now, I may have mentioned this before, but every time I start filming, someone starts up with a late power tool. In the background, it's a handy chainsaw in Coronation Gardens. It's par for the course for Canal Hunter, I'm afraid, so just ignore the noise. They don't know I'm coming, but it just always seems to happen. Well, now we've reached Tipton and we're opposite Coronation Gardens. We're standing at the entrance of the Tipton Green Canal. This was a linking canal, as its name suggests. It joined Brindley's original 473-foot Wolverhampton level down to the 453-foot Thomas Telford line below, and then onto the 408-foot Walsall level. Those are the three main levels of the Birmingham Canal navigations. The Toll End Communication Canal was built long after Brindley's time, but as we haven't had our usual helping of archive photos, I propose that we take a little side trip down to the Walsall Canal. I'm not planning a drone sortie down that way, the wind is far too high, but as my photographic record has improved no end since we last came this way in Series 2, here are a set of my favourite images which go some way to recreate this lost waterway. And so we reached the point where Thomas Telford was obliged to climb up through 3 locks to rejoin Brindley's channel here at Factory Junction in Tipton. In this episode we've covered a lot of ground, 3 or 4 miles, so I'm going to wrap it up there and call it an end to this video. I hope you've enjoyed this journey along Brindley's old line as it clung to the eastern side of the Trent Severn watershed. From here we'll be heading under the bridge behind me out towards Wolverhampton, but don't expect anything like a straight route, for as at Smethwick there is a hill that stands in the way, Coseley Hill. But rather than have another summit on this water-starved route, Brindley just took the long way round. A decision which no doubt pleased a lot of the colliery and foundry owners who were exploiting the minerals in the Braids area, but more of that next time. For now, cheerio and happy hunting.